Hello everyone, how are you all doing today? We'll be getting started here in just a minute. It's going to be a little bit of a slow start just because we kind of are doing some last minute little things. When will we get rant? Very soon. I was working on the script earlier today. Alright, put that out on Twitter. Close that. But we are getting all set up here. Ashy. He'll be at the bottom. Is this with the new DLC? Yes. Speaking of which, as we kind of turn this down. Speaking of the new DLC, I am super happy to say that Creative Assembly was lovely enough to provide me with a couple of keys for the tournament. So if you do not have the DLC, at certain points during the tournament, we're going to be doing some giveaways, and we'll kind of get into that. I'll use like a cheap little website to do it, but so yeah, that'll be fun. There will be that whole thingamajig. All right, let's put that up there. We'll put me there. Whoop, not over the bracket. Below the bracket. There we go. All over the place. Yeah, I did see the Brian Blessed video. Dude, I love Brian Blessed. He's so great. Awesome. Alright, so we are ready to head into our first match. So without further ado, hey guys, how are y'all doing? Let's not waste any more time. So our first game is going to be Gobbo Slayer versus Ashy. And we're going to be having Vampire Coast versus Spirits of the Jungle as our first game. Mark Schaefer, so there's a difference between being subscribed to a channel and being a member. A member is like it's like a subscription from Twitch. So it's like you pay, it supports the channel, and it's like there's a join button below, and it lets you use like emotes, and there's gonna be like some specific streams and stuff like that coming in the near future. But it's like the $4.99 a month thing, and it gives you access to certain kinds of features. Alright, so, without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and hop into it. If you are new to my channel, or you've never seen one of my tabletop tournaments before, or as I call it the Challenge of the Old Ones, because it's based on using tabletop rules. And basically, the way this works is that every player sends in a list before the tournament starts. They're not allowed to know what each other are bringing, and you get one list for the entire tournament. So you send me your army and your opponents. You don't know what map you're playing on. You don't know who your opponent is, what army they're using, or anything. So you try and make a list that's designed for all comers, essentially. A list designed to fight any potential enemy. And once you've got your... Let's move y'all over just a hair. Once you've got your list set up, I throw everyone in a pool, and they fight to the death until there's a winner. So there will be a total of 7 games. They're also all of the games are also best of 1, so there's no do-overs, and it's best of 1 elimination style. So well, let's go ahead and start going over the armies. How excited am I for Gotrek and Felix? I'm super excited for Gotrek and Felix. They are a really, really awesome feature. Obviously, I can't show you guys their stuff yet, but I can tell you that they're pretty amazing. So let's start with the Lizardmen. So Gobbo Slayer here, we've got 2 units of Skink Skirmishers with blowpipes, 2 units of Sacred Croxgores. We've got 5 units of Skink Cohorts. Leading the army, we've got the Croxgore Ancient, who just has the Amulet of Itzel, which is just a ward save item. We've got a Pharaoh Bastillodon. Oh no, we got 3 units of Sacred Croxgores, excuse me. Then we've got a Feral Dreadsaurian, bringing in the heavy hitting for this army. And up in the skies, we've got a Skink Priest of Beasts with Pan's Impenetrable Pelt, Transformation of Caden, and Amber Spear. And then over on the Vampire Coast, we've got 4 units of Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mob. I believe 4 units of Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mobs with polearms. 2 Carronades. 2 Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mobs. 2 Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mobs with handguns, one of which is the Black Spot Regiment of Renown. Then we've got 2 units of Morgulls, one of which is the Night Terrors. And then we've got Luther Harkin up on his Terrorgeist. Looks like the only really unique ability he brought with him, he's got extra powder on, and he's got Hornswoggle. And then we've got a Vampire Fleet Captain of Vampires with some, with Raised Drowned Dead and Invocation of the Heck. And without further ado, let's see how this goes. Alright, so already the Carronades are opening fire, and they actually get a couple of decent shots into the Dreadsaurian, shaving off about 2,000 health. You can tell the Dreadsaurian's moving through the trees in an attempt to probably dodge some of the missile fire. Of course, it does seem we have a little bit of lag, but that's okay. Over here, it looks like we're about to see something go down. Oh, you know what? I bet it's a Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. Yep. So that's going to add a considerable amount of speed to him, and is also going to give him 22% physical resistance, which will make him much more durable against that cannon fire. And of course, if this Feral Dreadsaurian can make it to this front line at like 75 to 80% health, he'll be able to carve through things pretty easily. We do see that he is taking a pretty horrific amount of damage. He's already down to about 50% of his health, and his leadership got a little low there for half a second. He could probably use a Cold-Blooded to help him stabilize, but things are definitely looking a little rough. And the Dreadsaurian has already broken, and he is getting the heck out of dodge. Y'all are not getting the in-game audio. It might be that it's just very quiet. I will mess around with it in a moment. However, things are going okay for the Lizardmen on other sides of the battlefield. They are starting to swarm into the center. They've got a Manticore summon that's going down. The Dreadsaurian is dead. That thing got wiped out so fast. That is a... I am not super impressed by the Dreadsorian personally, but it just, man, it really struggles to perform. We do see though that there's a fair amount of action going on around the field. The Skink Priest is trying to get off an Amber Spear and does, instantly blowing up one of the Carronades really nicely. And then he's trying to stay away from Luther Harkin. We do see that the Skink Skirmishers are dueling around the battlefield. One unit does get caught by Morgulls, which is not great. But the Sacred Crocscores are looking for ways to punch through this battle line. We do see that the Manticore, the Ancient, and the regular Sacred Crocscores have managed to get on the Vampire Fleet Captain, which if they can get like a solid surround on her, they should be able to beat her down pretty easily. But the balance of power is definitely significantly in favor of the Coast right now, just because killing that Dreadsorian so quickly is just a really nice early grab for them. We do see, though, that we've got some Sacred Crocscores slipping into the back line. Looks like they're going to be heading for that Carronade. Things are definitely looking a little dicey for Gobbo Slayer. I mean, Ashy's army is a very stereotypical Coast army, except for it's got... I mean, it does have Harkin instead of Noctilus. Speaking of which, unfortunately, it does seem that he has caught that Skink Priest enough to rout him. And he's going to be chasing him off the battlefield, you know, sniping him in the butt with his pistol. At this point, we do see that the Sacred Crocscores have pretty much taken this Carronade offline, but they are taking a bunch of missile damage in the back for their efforts. The Pharaoh Bastillina has been routed on, and the Lizardmen are slowly starting to push through this line. They do manage to get into the black spot here with the Sacred Crocscores and the Crocscore Ancient. If they can, they really need to get a Skink unit on this handgun unit and get it offline. Because if they can get the Skink units, if they can get both the handgun units offline, then the Sacred Crocscores might be able to mop their way through things. But the Night Terrors have entered the battle, and the Night Terrors are going to be a rather nasty opponent. The Sacred Crocscores should be able to put the hurt on them pretty well, but they are going to tear through the Skinks like butter. One of the Carronades has been completely taken offline. We do see the other one's probably about to meet its fate here in just a second. It looks like it's actually not firing. It looks like the crew is maybe not engaged. It's hard to tell. Skink Skirmishers are raining in poison there. Sacred Crocscores are charging in. We have the Crocscore Ancient here doing his best to fight back against the Night Terrors and the Black Spot, which the Black Spot do have anti-large and decent melee attack, so they can handle the Sacred Crocscores and the Crocscore Ancient, at least over time. But unfortunately, the really scary thing is there's still Luther Harkin, who is in very good health, and of course he is a excellent duelist up on that spooky pterodon of his. So it's going to be pretty difficult to bring him down. Looks like he's going to be using his pistol for the moment, probably looking for a point where he's going to be able to get off a scream. We do see a rear charge come in from the Sacred Crocscores, but they're going to get hit with a scream that's going to do a ton of damage, dropping 2 of them instantly. We do see most of the ranged units have been taken offline at this point, but the Vampire Coasts do have enough dispensable infantry now that they're going to be kind of able to, whenever one unit gets barreled down, they're going to be able to kind of just disengage and, you know, re-engage in a more favorable setting. So the balance of power is pretty significantly against the oh, did I say Pterodon? Sorry, Terrorgeist. Well, things, and oh, okay, there it goes. So the balance of power is going to flip, and army losses are going to kick in, and that's going to be it for the Lizardmen today. So unfortunately, you know, that's kind of the thing with those, when I do the matchups, is I don't design the matchups. I use a dice to randomize them. And sometimes you can get kind of unfavorable matchups. And Vampire Coast is definitely a very difficult opponent for Lizardmen, especially when you have a Feral Dreadsaurian who just gets absolutely slapped across the face. It is, I would say it is very possible for Lizardmen to get a 1-up on the Vamp Coast, but you have to take like a build designed for it, which is, it's super difficult. So great game, good game to both players there. Unfortunately, that's kind of just a luck of the situation, but let's go ahead and update our score sheet, and then we will go from there. So let's do that real quick. I need to find a more efficient way to do what I'm doing. And I think I know how to do it. I just need to experiment with it before the next tournament. Something to remember. Alright, so we're going to have Ashariah moving on to the semis. Alright, our next game is going to be Hade Drees versus Felcon. Alright. So let's go ahead and update the map. Let's go to... Go ahead and boot Ashy here. Let's go to Iron Sand Desert. That's a classic. And we've got Hade Drees, boop, and Felcon. Wonder if Felcon's going by some goofy name at the moment. Look around here real quick. Felcon. Oh, there's Felk off. I bet that's him. All right. Oh, I did that wrong, but that's okay. We got a lot of Lizardman players today, but that makes sense given the DLC. Alright, so when both players are ready, we'll hop in. For this one, we've got the Cult of Sotek versus the... Oh gosh, what is the name of Felhart's faction? It's been so long. The Dread something. Dread... It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Don't tell me, chat. It'll come to me. Blessed Dread. Don't give an auto win to your cult. I don't think playing the Cult of Sotek makes life easier. Like, Tenenwan is a solid character, and I think he's the best character if you're playing as the Cult of Sotek faction, but I don't think he's the best Lizardman character, though he is pretty decent. Alright, so let's go ahead and go over the armies. So, looking at the Lizardman side of things, we've definitely got a Sotek-themed army. We've got 5 units of Skink cohorts. We've got the cohort of Sotek, Red-Crested Skink Regiment of Renown. We've got Tenenwan on an Engine of the Gods, and he's got Transformation of Kaden, Flock of Doom, and both of his items. Then we've got a Bastiladon with the Ark of Sotek, 2 of them, in fact, which is crazy. Most people don't even like to bring 1, much less 2. Then we've got 2 units of Cold One Riders, no, 4 units of Cold One Riders, okay. And 2 units of Skink Skirmishers, and then a single unit of Pterodon Riders. So a very, very mobile, fast Lizardman army. And then over on the Dark Elf side of things, we've also got a rather unconventional force. We've got a unit of Harpies up in the air alongside Lokir Felhart on his Dragon Maelstrom. And he's got his regenerating armor and his abilities. Then we got a Sorceress of Fire with Fireball, Cascading Flame Cloak, and Burning Head. We've got 4 units of Dread Spears, 2 units of Dark Riders with Shields, 1 unit of Sisters of Slaughter, 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers, a unit of Bleak Swords, a unit of Black Ark Corsairs, and a Charybdis. So pretty crazy builds from both players. Kraken Draken, oh my lord, that would be so bad. All right, so when both players are ready, we are all set to begin. This is going to be interesting. The Dark Elves definitely have a more defensive force against Felcon's very, very aggressive Lizardman army. Granted, the Lizardmen do have some slow creatures with the Bastillon, but those Reaper Bolt Throwers are going to need to be firing. They're going to want to single bolt these Cold One Riders as quickly as elvenly possible if they're going to have any hope of dealing with such massive numbers. And it looks like that's already what they're breaking into. So we see single bolts going out, getting a few nice early kills on some of the Cold One Riders. And it looks like there's even a fireball coming in, which is going to pretty much be impossible to avoid. It only kills one rider, but does a little bit of damage. Oh my lord, that bolt thrower volley, though, did a good amount of damage. So we do see the Pterodons look like they're about to potentially have a run-in with Lokir over there. We've got Harpies and Dark Riders coming around the rear there. Pterodons are going for some early easy damage, and it looks like they're probably going to drop rocks on these spears. Yep. Which does a crazy amount of damage. My god! That did like 70% of the unit's health instantly. Oh lord. Over here we see the Charybdis gets a nice countercharge into the Cold One Riders, but it is going to get charged many, many times. Harpies are swarming in to try and get a rear bonus against the Cold One Riders, which is going to cause one unit to break. We do see a laser goes down here, but Hade Drees has not fallen for that and manages to get out of the way before it impacts him. Unfortunately, although that laser move is very powerful and cool looking, it's pretty not great in multiplayer. It just takes too long to cast. We do see that the bolt throwers now, though, are in kind of a rough position. There's just not a lot of targets who are not crazy far away. Both of the Cold One Riders on this flank have been terrified off. And, oh, the Dark Riders are actually in the perfect position to mop them up. Really good play there by Hade Drees. Meanwhile, over here on this right flank, though, we do see that the Lizardmen have completely overwhelmed the Dark Elves. And now we are into the big fight. Lokir Felheart has popped all of his buffs. Tenenhuan has popped all of his defensive buffs, though he is eating some bolt throwers in the back. He does summon a Manticore, who's probably going to be used to harass Lokir, or potentially go after the Fire Wizard. We'll have to see. Lokir gets in Cascading Fire Cloak to try and provide him with some more defenses, but the Lizardmen are just absolutely swarming over this flank. There are so many. We do see a fairly nice Burning Head go down. It's going to get rid of that skink unit for the Dark Elves. They do have their Murderous Prowess active now, but unfortunately there's just not a lot of Dark Elf infantry left. They've really only got a mostly dead unit of Bleak Swords, couple of fleeing units or heavily damaged units. We see the Charybdis is doing extremely well, just absolutely eviscerating this Bastillodon with the Ark of Sotek, but there's so many skinks and like a full health unit of Cold One Rider still running around. This is going to be a very, very difficult comeback for the Dark Elves. We do see the Sorceress does dive in to try and get some damage, potentially lure in some people to a Dragon Breath, which a fairly good Dragon Breath does go off. Sorceress will do okay for herself in combat as long as she doesn't go up against anything too heavy. And we do see that Lokir dives down to try and get in on Tenenhuan. If they could get rid of Tenenhuan, or at least do enough damage to force him away from the fight, then this battle could potentially turn around due to terror. We do see Tenenhuan is in a really bad position right now, though. He is sandwiched between a Charybdis and a Dragon, which is not where you want to be, even if you're a Stegodon. Especially that Charybdis. The poison and all the anti-large AP is just nasty. And it looks like we're about to see another Burning Head come roaring through these skinks. That's going to do crazy amounts of damage. The cohort of Sotek takes a decent amount of damage, and their leadership is going to plummet. And the Dark Elves are actually getting a pretty good comeback here. Hade Drees is playing his hand really, really well. We do see that the skinks are swarming in from all sides to try and provide support. But Tenenhuan is just between a rock and a hard place. He just cannot get away. There's nowhere for him to go at the moment. Sisters of Slaughter, we do see in here battling against some skink cohorts. But, yeah, Tenenhuan's broken, and there is, like, a good-sized Dark Rider unit who are ready to just chase him off the battlefield. And this might potentially turn the battle completely in favor against Felcon. I mean, he seemed to have a really strong early advantage, but that second Burning Head did so much damage and got so much done that it's just ridiculous. So we do see that 10-1 is off the field. Like, there's no way he's coming back, and even if he does, it's only for a brief moment. The Charybdis is chasing him all the way off the battlefield. The balance of power is now in favor of the Dark Elves, though only slightly. I mean, they have spent their murderous prowess, and we do see that because there are 2 Bastillodons left, there is still a lot of terror on the battlefield, causing all the Dark Elf infantry to kind of scatter. But we have Harpies coming in here to deal with the Pterodons, which that is not a good matchup for the Pterodons. They will get ripped to pieces by those Harpies. And we have here the Sorceress of Fire chasing off 10-1 while the Charybdis starts rallying back to the main army. And there are tons and tons of skinks rallying in to try and deal with Felheart. And that's what they need right now. They need to bring down Felheart. If they can find a way to actually defeat... Oh, wow, the Pterodons actually won that engagement. I guess the Harpies are just too wounded. Oh, it looks like they're being supported by skinks. But we do see the skinks have managed to pretty much get rid of all the Dark Elf infantry. So all that's really left is Felheart... Looks like a unit of Dark Riders, the Charybdis, and that's pretty much it. So we do see a Dragon Breath go down. It makes okay contact, not the best. And Felheart is diving back in on these Bastillodons, which he definitely wants to get rid of. But he does need to be careful. These Bastillodons will do effective damage, and they can hold him down if he allows himself to get surrounded. We do see 10-1 did fall to the Sorceress back there, and with 10-1 dead, it looks like that's actually going to cause a leadership fracture for both of the Bastillodons as the Charybdis comes in to support, and the Bastillodons both break, and that's definitely going to be game. Like, there's a couple of random Cold One units still hanging around, but now that the Dark Riders are here to mop up fleeing units so they can't rally, you can commit the Charybdis to one Bastillodon and Lokir Felheart to the other one. That is, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's gonna be game for the, ooh, yikes. Yeah, that's gonna be game for the Dark Elves. What a turnaround. I thought for sure that Falcon had that for a good bit. Like, his army was absolutely smashing those Dark Elves apart, but those, the Charybdis put in so much work, and the, like, the Charybdis did an absolutely devastating job, and those burning heads got so much value. Which, of course, is the downside of running, like, a cohort of Sotek list, is that all of your infantry are skinks, so a spell like Burning Head just curb stomps the entire army. Yeah, I mean, that Sorceress came out with 100 kills, and that is, whew, that's brutal. So really good game to both players. Let's go ahead and update the bracket. That was an excellent comeback by Hade Drees there. It looks like, unfortunately, Falcon's thematic army betrayed him in the end. So we've got Hade Drees moving on to the semis. And next up, we've got Gojira versus Dossett. So we got Goji versus Dossett. Now let's go to the Pillar of Bone. I haven't been there in a while. Let's see, Gojira. I saw him on here earlier. Slow Jira, there we go. Alright. And then we will move all this back up. Will I be doing an Empire live stream? Yes. I am waiting until I will be doing an Empire playthrough. I want to finish my Gorok one first, and the reason I hadn't done it yet is I wanted to wait until Gotrek and Felix were playable. And I believe Gotrek and Felix go live tomorrow, if you have a code. So, oh yeah, the game sound. Yeah, let me fix that. I know what the issue is. Yada yada yada. Let's turn that way up. Oh, interesting. Oh, I know what the problem is. Sorry, guys. There we go. Now y'all should be able to hear it when I open it here in just a second. There you go. Sorry about that. I thought it was one issue and it was a different one, but it's fixed now. If I recall correctly, tomorrow only starts the pre-order period for the White Dwarf. Oh, my bad. So it's the week after next week. Okay. I know it's sometime in September. No, it's not Total War's fault. It was my fault. I switched out my headphones. Alright, so we've got Gojira, who's going to be bringing in the Skaven. And now we've got another Lizardman army. But at least every Lizardman player has played a different sub-faction. We had the Spirit of the Jungle first. We had the Cult of Sotek second. And now we've got Itza showing up to the party. So when both players are ready, we'll get going. Hey, Turn Bar, how you doing? What brand are my headphones? These ones? I don't remember off the top of my head. The ones that I normally use are these, which are Corsair. But they're wireless, which normally I like, but the charger's gotten a little finicky. So it has to, and it takes for fucking ever to charge. So... these are like wired, so I only wear these when my other ones are like low on battery power. But these ones were actually sent to me by Creative Assembly. Creative Assembly sent me like a little thank you package thing, and it had like it had these, and it had the processor that's in my new PC in it too. It was a i9. It was very, very nice. It was super nice. Alright, when both players load in, we will be good to go. Any Tomb Kings today? Unfortunately not. No Tomb Kings today. We got a lot of Skaven today. Or, sorry, a lot of Lizardmen today. We've seen Dark Elves. We've seen... Vampire Coast. What else is on the agenda today? There's a Beastman player later today. And I'm trying to remember what the last person is. Well, you'll see next game. Yeah, I don't think there's any Empire today. Just people didn't feel like playing them, I guess. Alright, let's start with Gojira's army, who's going to be playing the Skaven. So we've got 4 units. Oh no, we got 3 units of regular... No, okay, 2 units of regular gutter runners. 2 units of gutter runners with poison. We got a unit of Warplock Jezzails, 2 Rat Ogres. We've got 2 units of Storm Vermin with Sword and Shield, a unit of Plague Monks, and then it looks like we've got 3 units of Clan Rat Spears with Shields, a unit of Skaven Slaves, and leading the army we've got good old Lord Skrulk with all of the items and abilities, but the only spell he brought is Vermintide. That's it. He didn't even bring Pestilent Birth. And then we've got a Warlock Engineer who has Howling Warp Gale, but not the armor. Interesting. Meanwhile, on the Lizardman side of things, with Dossett, of course one of our lovely moderators, we've got a single unit of Cold One Riders. Yep, just one. Then we've got 4 units of Saurus Warriors, led by none other than Gorok, the Great White Lizard himself. It looks like he's got all of his items and all of his abilities, so he is packing. We've got a Skink Priest of Heavens with Wind Blast, Harmonic Convergence, and Curse of the Midnight Wind. We've got 2 units of regular... 1 unit of regular Croc Scores, 1 unit of Sacred Croc Scores. And we've got 2 units of Red Crested Skinks, 1 Skink Cohort, and 2 units of Skink Skirmishers. So, oh, and then last but not least, it looks like we've got a unit of Ripperdactyl Riders. That's fun. So, pretty nice mixed Lizardman build. I mean, he's got a little of everything. He's got some calves, some Croc Scores, decent Saurus infantry block, fair amount of Skinks, got some Flyers. Then on the Skaven side, Skaven's pretty similar. He's got some kind of long range units, monstrous infantry, you know, all sorts of stuff. Go when ready, gents. Alright, the battle has begun. So Skaven are obviously going to be opening up immediately with Jezzails into, looks like the Saurus Warriors over here. So they're going to be taking a fair amount of damage from that opening volley. As it applies Shield Breaker, they'll be able to, you know, just kind of casually mow down people. But it looks like they're going to be immediately turning their shots onto Gorok, which with Shield Breaker is going to knock his silver shield down to a bronze, but that's still pretty good. And he's going to pop Rock of Itza, so he's got 44% physical resistance. And Warp Block Jezzails, unlike in Tabletop, don't do magic damage like they do in the original Warhammer Tabletop game. So that physical resistance is going to make Gorok pretty much immune to damage. Between his physical resistance and his missile resistance and his still bronze shield despite the shield breaker, Gorok is just going to ignore that. Can I move my webcam up to the top left? Yes, I can do it after this game. I will make that a note for next time. Or I'll move it to the bottom right. That would probably be a better spot for it. So here we do see the Saurus getting into battle, the Kroxigors charging into support against the Storm Vermin. The Kroxigors will, of course, absolutely rock the world of those Storm Vermin. The Saurus are going to do really, really well in most of these matchups. The only thing that's really threatening to them is the Storm Vermin with Sword and Shield. Over here, we do see Gorok is up against Lord Skrulk and the Engineer, but he has eaten a Liber Bubonicus, so he has taken a ton of damage because of that. But he has stabilized, and he is starting to put a whooping back on Lord Skrulk. But oh man, he is just taking so much damage, because Skrulk does have a massive amount of melee attack, despite his being a wizard. Like, he has no issue holding his own in combat. And we see that Gorok has broken. There was enough sustained effort from Skrulk and the Warlock Engineer that they were able to take care of him. Over here, the Warlock Engineer just get off a Howling Warp Gale, so these Gutter Runners are going to be absolutely shredding these Ripperdactyls, at least until the spell ends. These guys are stuck. The spell has ended. Hopefully they'll be able to get on the move. Things are looking a little dicey for the Lizardmen. We see the Plague Monks are jumping on Gorok to try and make sure he doesn't come back. Looks like some Skinks are trying to pursue. Skrulk is mass summoning what units he can, but the front line is looking a little spicy for the Skaven in many, many places. The Saurus are going to be doing a really, really nice job of butchering their way through a lot of these Skaven units, but of course, those constant summons are going to be an issue. We do see the Skinks indeed are going after the Plague Monks to try and pull them off. Looks like we got a Wind Blast coming down into the Storm Vermin, which will do a fair amount of damage, but this Skink Priest is in kind of a rough place. He probably needs to pull back and safely just kind of observe the battle. And honestly, Curse of the Midnight Wind would probably be way more helpful here than Wind Blast. But overall, things are tipping slightly in favor of the Skaven. They did manage to get rid of the, well, not get rid of, but deal with the Ripperdactyls very, very efficiently. We do see there are some Colon Riders in the back, but unfortunately they're fighting in a forest, which means right now their melee attack and melee defense is actually significantly decreased. They probably should leave the Gutter Runners alone and just go after, like, the Jezzails, and try and do what they can there. Looks like Gorok is going to be fully escorted off the field, but his health is so low I doubt he would rally anyway at this point. And we do see the Saurus and Kroxigors are still battling. Like, the Skaven front line, despite being relatively inferior, did manage to hold out well, because it looks like the Lizardmen may have just stacked on top of each other a little too much. Because it was kind of like the Saurus came in, and then the Kroxigors came in after the Saurus, and then the Skinks came in after the Kroxigors. They kind of all stacked on top of each other, which is a trap a lot of players fall into in this game. I have fallen into that trap when I'm like really rusty at the game. That's something you really got to watch out for. Whenever you're playing, you want to do everything in your power to just kind of spread out as much as possible, quite frankly. We see the Skinks do get a little bit of a rear charge here into the Storm Vermin shield, which is really what they wanted to try and do in the first place. If the Red Crested Skinks had cut long ways around the armies and slammed to the back, they probably would have been able to make way more efficient use of their superior infantry. And really, the Lizardmen are in a rough spot at this point. I mean, they did manage to look like win the left flank, but they've lost the center and the right flank, and there are still a ton of gutter runners over the field, which even though, like, they have a decent amount of ammunition still, and of course they are actually fairly competent melee fighters, so long as what they're fighting doesn't do magic damage. The only thing really holding the Lizardman army together at this point is this Skink Priest of Heavens, but we do see the Plague Monks have managed to dominate the backfield of the Lizardmen. This massive unit of Saurus Warriors, which did manage to get into the rear, unfortunately got surrounded. So because of all those leadership penalties and the fear and the poison all mixed together, they do break, which is going to cause them to get absolutely massacred. And that was really the only major unit the Lizardmen had left to help them out. We do see the Croc Scourge coming in here against these Storm Vermin. But unfortunately, the Lizardmen are kind of conga lining into the battle, which you definitely don't want this. Whenever your guys do this, you always want to click on them, right click and drag to try and get them into a much wider stance, because you want to maximize the amount of guys you have in close combat. It's never good to conga line, at least not with not with melee units anyway. At this point, it's really only a matter of time until the balance of power goes completely against the Lizardmen. I mean, they're very, very badly surrounded. The only thing they've got going for them is Gorok very briefly rallied over here, but he's probably going to die here in just a second. He's at 20 HP against these Plague Monks. 7 HP, he's routed, and that's going to be the end of Gorok. And with the end of Gorok, I don't think the Lizardman leadership is going to be able to hold out. Wait, did he kill those Plague Monks? Oh my gosh, he did. Well, he may have gotten down to 7 HP and broke, but Gorok looks like he will be leaving the battlefield alive. He just beat those Plague Monks into submission despite being at virtually no health when they started. At this point, all that's left is a unit of Colon Riders, some Saurus, and a Skink Priest. And it looks like the Lizardmen are kind of looking for the can. And wow, Gorok rallied at 7 leadership. That is very impressive. I'm wondering if Skrulk has another Liber Bubonicus, because I think he only used 1 on Gorok. He might have used another one on like a Crocscore unit or something, but I would figure he'd have 1 more. But we do see he gets off his Rod of Corruption, which of course is going to get these Saurus to just be absolutely obliterated. And it looks like the Lizardmen are just kind of doing what they can to isolate certain pockets, but balance of power is going to swing, army losses will kick in, and that is gonna be game. So the Lizardmen are 1 and 2 today. They're having some rough matchups. So Dossett, with his Gorok play, has unfortunately been cast down by the Sinister Skaven. So let's go ahead and update our bracket. Great game to both players. Let's see here. We've got Gojira will be moving on to the semis. And now it is time for Arista Demos versus... We got Arista Demos versus Mr. Peanut Butter Special. I don't think Astrophel is receiving us. So while we're waiting for folks to hop in, how are y'all doing today, chat? How is everybody? You doing okay? Life going decent? Oh, I need to change the map. What's a good map? What's a good map? What's a good map? Sword of Torgald. Great map. Okay, they both got in here and readied up a lot faster than I thought they would. So let me move this back up. Ooh, yeah. And, yeah, so now we've got some very different armies at the moment. We've got dwarves versus beastmen. Isn't Skrull like one of the best duelists? Skrull, when he uses the Liber Bubonicus, yeah, he's a very, very good duelist. The Lizardmen, oh yeah, the Lizardmen did lose all their games, didn't they? I thought they won one, but nope, the Lizardmen, poor Lizardmen got creamed today. Rip. Getting paid to work and watch Warhammer. Life's good. That is good. Dwarves versus beastmen. Yep. Yeah, dwarves versus, and it's not just any beastmen. It's the Shadow Gave. Poor Gojira. Relaxing Friday so far. That's good. Good. Alright, let's take a look at what armies we're going to be dealing with here. We're over on the glorious Sword of Torgald map, which is kind of a hysterical map in my opinion, because the Sword of Torgald is, you figure the quest line for the item would follow, you know, how he got the Sword of Torgald, which was from a man named Torgald who was a Norscan king, essentially. But nope, he gets it in a Bretonnian battle. Some of the quest battles are so strange. But a mirror match against Norscans would be kind of boring, so... I actually really like Wulfric's quest line, because you get to fight, like, the Green Knight and stuff. Lizardmen lose most of their battles in these tourneys from what I've seen. Lizardmen can do really, really well. It depends. All the Lizardmen builds we saw today were fairly... I don't want to call them memey, but they were, like... They had themes to them as opposed to, like, just ruthless being good. But, yeah. Alright, let's start with the Beastmen army. So, we got a single Cygor. The army is led by a regular Beast Lord, not Morgr, who's got, looks like he's got both, he's got the Horn of the First Beast and Apocalyptic Vision. We've got 4 units of Ungor Spearmen Herb with Shields, led by Blackhorn's Ravengers, the Regiment of Renowned Goreherds with Shields. We've got a Brave Shaman of Shadows on a Razor Gore Chariot with Withering, Enfeebling Foe, and the Dagger of Jet. Then we've got a single unit of Razor Gore Chariots. We've got 4 units, I believe, yep, of regular Centigores. 2 units of Throwing Axe Centigores. Oh, is the camera not up? Oh, yeah. You asked me to move my camera. There you go. I'll get my green screen up and running later this week. And then we've got 2 units of Ungor Raiders. So, very wide Beastman army. A lot of really, really fast-moving parts. And then you, of course, got some, like, artillery stuff. Then we've got, on the dwarf side of things, looks like we've got a box going. We've got, I believe, 4 units. No, 3 units of miners with blasting charges. Looks like 4 units of dwarf thunderers. 2 units of quarrelers. Looks like the dwarves are making a box, and well, not a box, but a diamond, and facing every possible direction, just in case. We've got a unit of Iron Drakes, Dragonback Slayers here in the back, a cannon for some counter battery fire. We've got 2 units of dwarf, or no, 3 units of dwarf warriors. It looks like, no, 4. Sorry, 4 units of dwarf warriors. 2 in the front, 1 on each flank. And then we've got, we already talked about the Iron Drakes, and the army is led by a Rune Lord on the Anvil of Doom. I love the Anvil of Doom model. I feel like they need to rework the Anvil of Doom to make it work a lot better. We've also got the, of course, updated Rune of Wrath and Ruin. And then we've got a Runesmith over here. So already we see that we're going to get some counter battery right off the bat. Cygor does throw his first boulder, which unfortunately misses. And the dwarves will not miss. Not only hitting the Cygor, but knocking him flat on his butt, which is going to be great for the dwarves because that's going to provide them a lot of free time to reload while the Cygor is busy standing up, where he could have been throwing 1 or 2 extra volleys. We do see the Centaurs looking for a way to get into the dwarf formation, but of course the Thunderers are going to make it very, very hard on the Centaurs, but it looks like the Centaurs are going to go all the way around the back and try and time it so that by the time the main infantry force arrives, they will be able to support them by slamming into the rear. Over here, the Thunderers did take a pretty nasty rock from the Cygor, and it looks like another one is... Where is that going? Oh, that one, like, that was like a curveball. I thought for sure that was going to miss, and that was a perfect hit. Those Thunderers are wrecked. They might want to spread out a little bit. So the Centaurs are now in the back line, kind of waiting patiently for their time to strike. Cannon is, looks like the cannon actually started firing at the Beast Lord. Probably should focus down the Cygor as best as possible, try and take him down. We do see the Thunderers are going to be mowing their fire into the Ungor herd, though of course they do have shields, bronze shields no less, which aren't amazing, but you know, they'll get the job done. They'll protect them well enough. Cygor does get a big ol' whiff on that boulder, and we do see that the Beast Lord has taken a pretty substantial amount of damage due to the sustained fire. The Rune Lord is just going to be charging right at him, and we do see that the Centaurs have entered the fray in the background. We do get 1 charge into a Corler unit, but in revenge they get slapped with the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, which is going to slow them down agonizingly and allow enough units to catch onto their rear while they're being shot by Thunderers to just completely break the unit. However, while 1 unit was stopped, the other 2 have gone into the cookie jar, and they have shut down the cannon and these units of Corlers. We've got the Ungor Raiders firing in on Thunderers, while the front lines have completely engaged. Of course, the Dwarves are more than capable of absolutely spanking these various Ungor units. A chariot, Razorgore Chariot does ride in here, but unfortunately gets slapped with the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin. So he's having a pretty bad time because he's just really slow. 2 of them are dead before they even get remotely close, and the last one's probably going to be joining it in just a second. We do see the Centaurs are going to get a beautiful charge into these Thunderers here. The Iron Drakes are actually doing an excellent job melting down Blackhorn's Ravagers, who of course are a very elite unit, but unfortunately they don't have any armor really, so those Iron Drakes are very, very dangerous to them. Centaurs with throwing axes, though, are coming in with their heavy AP missiles to get in some nice counterfire. We do see that the Brave Shaman of Shadows managed to break a Thunderer unit, but he's about to eat a whole lot of bullets, and he's got Rune of Wrath and Ruin on him, and the Dragonback Slayer, so he's basically going to have a movement of, yeah, he has speed of 7. So he's going to get absolutely shredded and ripped apart. Looks like Blackhorn's Ravagers are trying to get on the Slayers so that maybe they have the ability to do some good damage. But now the Iron Drakes are supporting the Dragonback Slayers, who of course whenever they hit someone they give them the Flammable trait. So that's a really nice kind of wombo there. We do see the Cygor is still trying to pick off Thunderers, but Centaurs are coming into the rear doing fair amounts of damage. And despite the fact that things are looking okay for the Dwarves, the balance of power is slightly in the Beastman's favor. We do see the Blackhorn's Ravagers have been pretty much wiped out at this point. The Shadow Sorcerer is looking not super duper great, though he is starting to book it out of there. But there is a lot of sustained fire coming in from throwing axes and archers that is slowly but surely starting to wear down these Iron Drakes. We do see here that a unit of Thunderers does get pushed back, but they do manage to take a fleeing unit of Centaurs with them. But it looks like pretty much every time the Thunderers think they're safe, another unit of Centaurs comes crashing into their back. And of course, these Centaurs just have spears, so they don't have like heavy AP. They're really just relying on their massive charge bonus numbers, and so long as their leadership is good, perfect vigor to kind of carry them through the day. Over here, we do see the Centaurs are trying to perform as best as they can, but they're getting hit with another Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin. But there's really nothing near them to take advantage of that Wrath and Ruin, so probably wasn't the best use of that, especially since you only have so many uses. And that Cygor, because the cannon is completely offline, I think the crew was totally wiped out, this Cygor has complete impunity to just use all of his ammunition, and it looks like he's just focusing on this last stalwart group of Thunderers. And how many kills? He has 66 kills against dwarves, which is not insignificant. We do see at this point the infantry line of the dwarves is holding fairly steady. However, and so is the leadership of the dwarves, but they don't really have anything that's going to allow them to get like really good, consistent ways to wear down like all of the massive amounts of Centaurs. Like, the Thunderers are doing what they can, but there's only one group of Thunderers left at this point. Oh, well, this unit looks like they've kind of rallied, but these Centaurs are probably about to, like, yeah, get into them and just kind of rip them apart. So, the Dwarves are in a kind of dicey situation. They need to get rid of these Centaurs with throwing axes, or at the very least, they need to get rid of the Beast Lord. But the nice thing about this Beast Lord is he's on foot, and he's very quick. And provides really, really nice leadership abilities. So he's just kind of running around providing buffs to his units and staying among them so he can't be focused out by the dwarf gun line. So we do see the dwarves are probably trying to... It looks like they're trying to kind of get organized into a better defensive geometry. But unfortunately, these Dragonback Slayers really need to be focusing on defending the ranged units and taking out the Centaurs that try and get in on like these Iron Drakes. For instance, we see these Centaurs are coming right up the rear on these dwarves, and they are about to just slam into this unit of Thunderers who are totally undefended. And it's going to be a really bad time for these Thunderers. You know, they're not able to brace in time, so they're going to eat a fair amount of damage. Though that Cygor just friendly fired the hell out of those Centaurs. And they do manage to book it and break this unit of dwarves. These ones tried to get on the Iron Drakes, but they are being protected at the moment. We do see that the dwarves are probably going to be able to catch them and get in a little bit of damage here. But the balance of power is still pretty even. It's pretty much at 50-50 right now. I mean, that Rune Lord is very, very tough. Like, the only thing that's really capable of killing the Rune Lord is just, like, the throwing axes. If the throwing axes got really strong sustained fire on the Rune Lord, they would probably be able to melt him down pretty good, but it would still be pretty difficult. Over here, we see a Withering goes down on the Iron Drakes as this Bray Shaman just kind of casually charges into them. He's got virtually no health left. If he gets hit by, like, a fart in the wind, he's going to go down. But the Iron Drakes are doing what they can to get rid of the trash infantry, but every time this Bray Shaman charges in, I mean, he's getting in damage. And that Withering is actually going to be super important because these Iron Drakes are eating a ton of missile fire from the Ungor Raiders. We do see, though, it looks like the Bray Shaman is going to meet his end. He has been hit with the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, so he's very, very slow. And if these Dragonback Slayers manage to catch him, like, he's done for. He's got a speed of 20, though, so... And he's kind of booking it for being speed of 20. But, over here, we do see that the Iron Drakes are pretty much on their last leg, but it looks like they're actually going to get a really, really nice volley into these Ungor Raiders. Going to be able to do a significant amount of leadership damage, but unfortunately, it looks like the dwarves are kind of abandoning them, and yeah, they're just going to get torn apart. At this point, though, I mean, the game is still so even. The Cygor is completely out of ammunition, so he has to come in here and fight. Which, I mean, isn't bad for the Beastman. I mean, he is a terror causer, so if he comes in, he's going to get work done. We do see the Iron Drakes are kind of shooting out little spurts of fire. Not super accurate when there's only like 5 of them. But, I mean, if they can land some hits on these Ungors, they may be able to do enough leadership damage. And the thing is, if these Dragonback Slayers are still in really, really good health by the time this Cygor gets over here, I mean, they will butcher that thing. Like, no problem. So, we do see the Dwarf Warriors coming in. The Ungors start to fall back, but it looks like it's going to be too little too late. And they're just going to, yeah, they're just going to break and book it. And at this point, it pretty much comes down to, can the Cygor, with the support of the Beast Lord and all these Centaurs, kill the Rune Lord? I mean, that's what it ultimately boils down to. Like, we see here that the dwarves managed to reform just in time to block a potential charge from these Centaurs. But of course the Centaurs are going to be able to get off some axe throws, which is going to take down, I mean, that instantly killed 5 dwarves. We do see a nice flame wind come in there. The Centaurs get a pretty decent charge, though they are taking some leadership damage. The Dragonback Slayers are jumping in here, and they are getting on the Beast Lord and the Cygor at the same time. And we've got the Rune Lord riding in at great haste to bring the fight to the Cygor. And he will do well in this fight. He does a decent amount of damage. He just doesn't have a lot of AP, but Cygors don't really have any armor, so that'll work okay for him. And you can see the Cygor is taking a pretty serious amount of damage, but these dwarves are getting absolutely swarmed over here without the Slayers being a deterrent for the Centaurs. So, like, the Centaurs are just having their way with all these dwarf warriors and are tearing them apart. And these dwarf warriors are about to get surrounded, Slayers are about to get surrounded, though they did do a ton of damage to that Cygor. If they could get the Cygor away from here, the Rune Lord could probably handle all the infantry by himself, and then the Slayers would need to deal with the Centaurs. That's what it kind of ultimately boils down to, is that if the Cygor gets dealt with and the Terror is off the field, then it's really just kind of down to the Rune Lord to smash his way through all the infantry and try and keep the Slayers alive. But the Slayers are down to already 13 models, and they're just being surrounded by tons and tons of troops. We do see that the Rune Lord here has been terrified, or sorry, the Rune Smith, and the Rune Lord is trying to fight his way to the Cygor to get rid of it. The Slayers are down to only 5 models, and if they're wiped out, I'm pretty sure that's going to push the balance of power significantly in favor of the Beastmen. We do see that the Runesmith has come back to fight alongside the Rune Lord, who is, of course, trying to finish off this Cygor, who has gotten just a grotesque amount of kills and surely has earned an entry in the Book of Grudges. Unfortunately for the Rune Lord, though, he doesn't have any of his items, so he, of course, doesn't have the item that makes him functionally invincible when he gets down to a certain health percentage. Because I'm pretty sure if he had that item, that I think it gives him like a 33 or something % ward save once they're below like 50% health or 20% health, whatever it is. The Rune Lord, if he could kill the Cygor, he might have been able to just hold the line. But unfortunately, he's just going to be taking too much consistent damage from that Cygor, and that's going to be game. So very, very close game. That was a super long one, and it was kind of interesting. Both forces kind of had, they were very even for a super long time. Both forces had units that performed really, really well. The cannon did well for itself. The Iron Drakes, the Miners, the Slayers, and the Rune Lord all did really, really well. But so did the Centaurs, and the Cygor especially. If that cannon... really, in my opinion, needed to blitz down that Cygor at the start of the game, and just get him off the field. But let's go ahead and update our score sheet here. Will I put a list of what mods I use? Yeah, sorry, I'll start including that in the description. Normally I'm pretty good about that, but... So, Beastman was Peanut Butter Special. So, Peanut Butter Special will be moving on to the semis. Alright, guys. So, it's time for a quick giveaway. So, if you do not have the Hunter and the Beast, and you would like to have the Hunter and the Beast, all you have to do is enter into chat. Let's say for the first one, just type Hunter. Hey Hugh, how you doing, man? If you want the chance to win a copy of Hunter and the Beast, just type Hunter into chat. And I'll give you guys a couple seconds to do that. And while we're doing that, I will get the next match set up, which is going to be Ashy versus Hade Drees. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, give y'all 13. Give y'all another few seconds. And I will change the map while I'm waiting. So 13. Let's do Storm Demon next. Storm Demon's a fun map. Ashy and Hade Drees. Hey. There he is. Alright, so we've got 14 entries. Alright. So... well, I don't need to do that. I just want a random number. Random number generator. Minimum is 1. Maximum is 13. Make sure nobody else jumped in. Oh, one other person jumped in, so max is 14. All right, let's do it. Boom. Number 4. So 1, 2, 3. Arcacillus Kinemos. Congratulations, you've won our first key for today. We have 3 more keys we're giving away, by the way. So stick around. We'll do 1 more key after the semis, and then we'll do 2 keys after the finals. So, Mr. Arcacillus, if you would message me on Discord when you have a second, I would appreciate it. So I can send you your key. We don't have a bot. I did it manually. Oh, is Turin streaming right now? Whoops. Well, whatever. This is usually my slot. What was I doing? Oh, right. I was moving my stuff. That way y'all can see my lovely face. Boop. Should I, Arcacellus, if you look on, if you go to Discord, just shoot me a PM. No wonder we couldn't find anybody. I didn't realize Turn was doing shit right now. Is he doing a tournament, or is he just screwing around? Luckily, my tournaments are really short, so. Oh, it's ECL. Oh, God, it's ECL. Jesus Christ. Friday is my day. My day. It's been my day longer than anybody else's. I do the Friday tournament. He needs to get off my fucking day. Well, thank you all for being here then. I'm super thrilled that we have over 100 people watching. Considering that... like, I didn't spam giveaway shit. Do I live near Turin? Oh, Lord, no. Turin lives in California, I live in Texas. So he's halfway across the country. This one's going in the book! Alright, so real quick, we'll go over the armies. Real quick, again, just in case you missed them earlier. So we've got 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers by Hade Drees, who's playing as the Blessed Dread. He's led by Lokir Felhard up on his Dargan. How do people register for your tourney? Just join my Discord and you'll find it pretty easy. And he's got his regen and both of his abilities. We've got a Sorceress of Fire with Fireball, Darkstar Cloak, Flaming or Cascading Fire Cloak, and Burning Head. Then we've got 1 unit of Bleak Swords, 3 units of Dread Spears, yes, a Charybdis, unit of Harpies, 2 units of Dark Riders, a unit of Sisters of Slaughter, and Black Ark Corsairs. Pretty mixed and unusual army for Dark Elves. Then on the Vampire Coast side, we've got a more general army. And if anybody's wondering, like, how do I find your Discord? If you just go into the description of this live stream, you can find the Discord. You can find a Discord invite, like, right there. So for this army, we've got 4 units of Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs, 2 units of Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs, 2 units of Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs with handguns, one of which is the Black Spot Regiment of Renown. We've got 2 units of cannons, 2 Morngulls, one of which is the Night Terrors Regiment of Renown. We've got 4 units of Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs with halberds. We've got Luther Harkin on a Terrorgeist with Hornswoggle and extra powder. Then we've got 2 Carronades and a Vampire Fleet Captain with Drowned Dead and Invocation of the Heck and the other version of Hornswoggle. Taunt. There we go. Why don't I stream on Twitch? I do. I just haven't since my computer broke. I have to reset up my Twitch crap. I do intend on returning to Twitch very soon. And I need to get my Restream account set up so that when I do tournaments, I will stream on both YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. So yeah, we'll get there. We're getting there. Alright, the battle has begun. Both players do have artillery, and both of their artillery can arc. Obviously, they do have these hills in the center because we're playing on Storm Demon, so they are going to need to maneuver a little bit. Both players also have big, scary Flying Lords, though there is an advantage to the Vampire Coast definitely has the better artillery, at least for the moment. So we do see that the Sorceress, I don't know if y'all saw that, he gave her kind of a funny, complicated flight pattern, but immediately started running away when Luther Harkin kind of started getting close. Alright, so Harkin is getting kind of close to the Dark Elf army. It looks like he's trying to use his pistol to shoot the Sorceress, because that will do a fair amount of damage. But where are the Bolt Throwers? Oh, there they are. The Bolt Throwers are moving up into range, and it looks like what the Bolt Throwers are going to do, very, very smart, is the Bolt Throwers are going to focus the Carronades. Because if the Bolt Throwers focus the Carronades, they will kill them so fast. High Elf War Machines actually are one of the best when it comes to killing enemy War Machines, because they're just really accurate. They don't traditionally do as much damage as cannons, but they make up for it by essentially being sniper rifles. Undead cannons are a little bit weirder because you really just need to kill the crew, and it'll cause them to basically dissolve. But we do see that the Dark Elf player is doing a Hade Drees is doing a great job. He's basically just paying attention to wherever the cannons are targeting, and then he just dodges. So we did see the first Terrorgeist Scream go down on the Charybdis, who kind of just took it like a champ. It obviously did do a pretty healthy chunk of damage, but Fellheart is now pursuing after Harkin and is just going to kind of chase him off. I don't think... Yeah, Harkin does not have 360 firing arc when he's on his Terrorgeist, and dear lord, Fellheart is so much faster than him. He must have got his charge animation, or he must have popped Foe Seeker. I don't know what happened there, but all of a sudden he was right on him. So now he's going to chase Fellheart, but that's going to be a much worse situation for Fellheart, because obviously Fellheart doesn't have a gun, and this guy does. So we did see a fireball go after Harkin, but unfortunately it just kind of whiffed. And if we check in over here, 2 of the Carronades have been completely blown up. There's only 1 left in this unit, and once these are down, the Vampire Coast will be forced to engage by the tournament rules. So long as they both have artillery, they have the ability to sit here and just kind of pew-pew at each other. But that's not going to last for too much longer. And look at this! While the Vampire Coast was distracted with micromanaging Luther Harkin, these Dark Riders came around and got a beautiful charge into these Carronade, causing their unit to take so much damage. I wonder if he's going to bother wasting his Winds of Magic to heal from that. But we do see that the Carronade here is completely offline. It's totally broken. A lot of abilities got popped on the Dark Riders to try and get them offline. There's still 5 Reaper Bolt Throwers up, and now there's only 1 Carronade unit left, and it is fairly wounded. And you can see the Reaper Bolt Throwers have already switched their aim. Meanwhile, way over here in the boonies, Harkin's in a really bad spot. It looks like he landed on the ground to try and do some damage to the Dark Riders, and now Harkin is... oh my god, he's in such a bad position. This is so bad. Because the bad thing about Terror Guys is they're not that heavy compared to, like, dragons. So he's stuck. He's absolutely stuck. And Felhard is more than strong and heavy enough to just beat the tar out of him. And, okay, Ashy's just going to kind of hand off the game. That's unfortunate. Generally we try to avoid that, but I totally understand it. I mean, he was pretty effed. If you lose your general that quickly, especially someone like Harkin who's like super expensive, you're pretty effed. Did he crash? No, he didn't disconnect. He conceded. He conceded because he got caught out. Yeah, the bolt throwers absolutely countered the cannons, and once the cannons were offline, that meant that the Vampire Coast had to walk to the Dark Elves. And the problem with that is that the Vampire Coast are really, really slow. They're very, very slow. And they have, and with Harkin immediately dying like he was about to, they were doomed. They were absolutely doomed. So totally understand Ashy just being like, well, there's not a lot you can do there. So with that, Hade Drees will be moving on to the finals with his Dark Elves. But I'm never sad. I've been burned too many times. I'm never sad to see. There you go. I'm never sad to see Vampire Coast get slapped. Alright, so our last semis match of the day is going to be Gojira versus Peanut Butter. Yeah, Harkin just got down on the ground for just a fraction of a second too long. Yeah, that's bolt throwers are one of the best counters to cannons, but obviously the nasty thing about this format is you don't know what you're going up against. it's a total mystery until you're knee deep. All right, let's go to the Tower of Hoeth. If I can find it. I don't think it's the tower. I think it's just tower. Yep. All right. So we've got Gojira Skaven versus Peanut Butter Specials Beastmen. We've got the Battle of the Furries. I amuse myself greatly. And after this match, we'll be doing another giveaway of a Hunter and the Beast DLC code. So be sure, if you don't have it and you want it, to stick around for that. Well, and stick around after that, because we'll be giving away 2 more keys at the after the finals as well. And I want to thank you all again so much for joining me today. This tournament was kind of very last minute in that we struggled to get players together because I didn't realize there was some other stuff going on at the same time. So thank you everyone who came by, and thank you of course everyone who's participating. By the way, you don't need to go over the armies again. We saw them already. Well, I like to go over them every match just in case someone just joined the stream. And, I mean, we just do it really fast just because I already know what's in it, so I don't have to look around. So just a reminder for anyone that needs it. For the Beastmen, we've got a Beast Lord leading the army who's just got his Horn of the First Beast and his leadership ability. We've got a Brave Shaman of Shadows with the Withering and Feebling Foe on Razor Gore Chariot. Unit of Razor Gore Chariots. 4 units of Ungor Spearman Herd with shields. Blackhorn's Ravagers ROR leading the pack. A Cygor, 2 units of Ungor Raiders. 4 units of regular Centaurs. 2 units of Centaurs with throwing axes. Can't see anything. Thank you. And then for the Skaven side of things, we've got... is there going to be another Hue Would Win? Yeah, of course. We've got 2 units with Gutter Runners, 2 units of Gutter Runners with Poison, 2 units of Rat Ogres. We've got Lord Skrolk leading the pack with all of his items and abilities, but only 1 spell, which is Vermintide. Warlock Engineer with just Howling Warp Gale. Got a unit of Warplock Jezzails. 2 units of Storm Vermin with shields, a unit of Plague Monks, 3 units of Clan Rat Spears with shields, and a single unit of Skaven Slaves. So both armies have a lot of high mobility. The Beastmen, and they both, of course, have just a ton of troops, too. Go when ready. This is actually a matchup I really like. How do we join the giveaway? I will tell you as soon as this match is over. Don't worry, you don't need to do anything until then. It's very informal. No, there's no bots on this channel because I am bot retarded. So there's no slash commands you can do. I do it manually at the moment because I have not spent the time to learn how to get all that fancy stuff going just yet. In any event, our match has started. So the Skaven do have a fair amount of their army in the forest. And they are already opening fire with Warplock Jezzails, which will, if they can hit, they're kind of struggling to get over this hill, but if they can land some hits, they will do some fair damage to these Centaurs, but we can see the Beastman army is kind of rearranging itself to face their foe. And that Cygor Rock, luckily for those Storm Vermin with shields, came up just short. And it looks like the Skaven are going to be moving their way towards the Beastman side of the field, trying to use the forest for cover, so that they can hopefully avoid eating too many rocks in the face. We do see that the Gutter Runners are going to be dueling with the Centaurs in the forest. Normally this would be an ideal matchup, fighting Cav in the forest as Gutter Runners, but Beastmen all have forest bonuses that they don't suffer forest penalties, and most of their units get assistance. Bot is broken. There are no bots. There are no bots. There is no spoon. I'm sure the Beastmen are happy with this arrangement, though. I'm sure they are all too happy to let their Centaurs take some damage. And Goji does need to be careful here. He does have his Rat Ogres pursuing these Centaurs, but he needs to be very cautious because these Rat Ogres have substantially lowered melee attack and melee defense right now. Because, sorry, I think it's melee attack and speed? I don't remember which one it is precisely, but they have massive penalties to their stat line. No, I think it's melee attack and melee defense, because they're monstrous infantry fighting in a forest. So these Centaurs are going to absolutely eviscerate them. Meanwhile, we do see that the Cygor did get a beautiful boulder into the Storm Vermin. He's already killed almost 40 of them, and the Beastmen are all too happy to just sit back, let their army get a lot of free damage in on these Skaven, while the Centaurs tear apart various groups. So we do see that this first unit of Rat Ogres has been completely wiped out. They're shattered. They're off. They're done. Off the field. The Skaven are trying to deal with these chariots and Centaurs in the forest. But once again, Beastmen don't suffer those penalties. So there's going to be some issues. The Skaven, honestly, for the Skaven, probably the best thing at this point would be to just beeline it for the Beastman army, because the Beastman army has inferior infantry to them. You know, they do have storm vermin and all sorts of other goodies to rely on, whereas the Skaven whereas the Beastmen only have like Ungors and a single unit of Gores. So the Skaven would do well over there. But over here we see the Skaven are continuing to try and fight in the forest, and it's just not really going that well for them. They've lost a Gutter Runner unit, which is broken and is running away now. I mean, a lot of these Centaurs are getting nerfed, but they're just not taking a lot of damage, because a lot of the missile fire that's coming in is being blocked by the high density of trees here, and these infantry are having a really hard time, you know, catching these Centaurs and kind of nailing them down. We do see here that they kind of managed to catch a few of them, but these Centaurs are starting to fall back. Meanwhile, the Beastman army is moving in very aggressively, and that Cygor is just continuing to munch up kills. He's at 52 kills now, most of which were against Storm Vermin. So this forest fight, honestly, at this point, it might be better for the Beastmen to completely fall back out of the forest and just force the Skaven to come to them. But we'll see what happens. Jezzails are kind of looking for a home on the battlefield at this point. They do need to be careful wherever they go, because obviously if they get out in front of, like, if they get too easily exposed and don't have a bodyguard unit nearby, one of these Centaur units could easily just jump on them and munch them up. And we're going to see another Cygor rock coming in. Beautiful, beautiful, oh god, what do you call it? What's that throwing style called? It'll come to me. But over here, we do see that it looks like this Gutter Runner unit is about to get charged by some Centaurs, which if they get caught, I mean, the edge of the field is very, very close, and there are Centaurs coming from both directions. The good news for the Skaven is that these Centaurs over here have eaten a fair amount of damage, but yeah, that Gutter Runner unit's gone. And yeah, the Beastmen just have so much more mobility than the Skaven. Like, the Skaven are kind of trying to play a kiting style. And I mean, they've got Jezzails, which are firing in and hitting the Centaurs, but Jezzails aren't that good if they're trying to hit a moving target that has a fair amount of health. The thing about Jezzails that makes them so dangerous is that they rely mostly on piercing through shot put. Thank you. They rely mainly on just cutting through armor like butter, but you know, the Beastmen just don't rely on that. They rely on speed and numbers. So, I mean, coming back into the forest here, we do see that Skrolok is calling down summons, trying to trap various Centaur units to bring them down. He has popped a Liber Bubonicus on the Brave Shaman of Shadows, which is going to do a ton of damage to him. And the Skaven are trying to get in a surround and kill these guys. I mean, if they could take out all this stuff in the forest and make it so that the Beastmen, you know, are paying for that whole incursion, that could be really good. But here we see the Beastmen, entire Beastman army is moving up to the edge of the forest, and I don't think Gojira has noticed just yet. It seems like he's focusing really, really hard on microwing, you know, trying to get rid of this Brave Shaman of Shadows, trying to get rid of the Razorgore chariots and all the Centaurs. But you know, he's got Beastmen knocking on his door, and we've got these Centaurs coming in on these Jezzails, and they're going to rip them apart. We've got throwing axes coming in that are going to be tossed in. Beastmen are swarming in the forest from all sides, and the Centaurs do catch the Jezzails. All 4 units just dog piling in on them, and those Jezzails are shattered. They are gone. So now the Skaven do not have a range answer to the Cygor. So if the Beastmen wanted to, they could totally just pull back out of this forest and challenge the Skaven to come out and face them, and the Skaven would not have a good answer. So, yeah, I mean, the Skaven are doing their best to try and kind of play juke plays and try and, you know, force the Beastmen into bad territory. But, you know, this is a forest. This is ideal territory for the Beastmen. You know, all of their infantry and throwing axes and stuff are coming in now. The Beast Lord is still in great health, and he is very tenacious. So, I mean, I think the Beastmen are all too happy to come in here and fight the Skaven on Beastmen turf. Here we do see that the Storm Vermin with shields are going up against Blackhorn's Ravagers and Ungor Spearmen. And I bet that Cygor is probably going to wander his way over here, because the Cygor would make an absolute joke out of these guys. But it looks like the Beast Lord's going to be heading over to deal with it personally himself. Looks like the Cygor is heading for Lord Skrulk, which does make sense. He does tons of damage when he lands a hit. And since he's in the forest, he doesn't suffer forest penalties, so he is going to be at full strength going up against Skrulk over here and his Storm Vermin bodyguard. And we do see that the Rat Ogres have lost another unit, so the Centaurs are going to be easily able to chase it off, because of course the Rat Ogres are taking tons of penalties by trying to fight in this forest, unlike the Beastmen, who are fighting at maximum capacity right now. And we see that the Centaurs are coming in with tons and tons of flank charges, and stuff is going to just... man, things are just getting ripped apart out here. The Storm Vermin with shield unit here is shattered. These Clan Rats are summoned, so they're about to go back on this side of the forest. Clan Rats with shields are broken. Skaven Slaves are broken. Rat Ogres are broken. Other Storm Vermin shield unit is broken. There are no meaningful units left. Like, there are some Plague Monks that are trying to fight, but they've been slapped with a Enfeebling Foe, so the Beastmen are easily going to be able to overwhelm them. Skrulk is pretty much alone up against this Cygor, and the Warlock Engineer is trying to avoid conflicts as well, and there's just nothing. Could I make a Lizardman paint tutorial? Yes, I actually I want to start a paint series. Where I go over the basics and help people through all that. Over here, looks like Skrulk got hit with something. Oh no, wait, what is going on here? Oh yeah, he got hit with Enfeebling Foe. And with, yep, that's gonna be game. I mean, the Skaven... The Skaven tried to play in the woods against Beastmen, and Wood Elves are just, Beastmen are just way better at that. That fighting the Beastmen in the forest is gonna give the advantage to the Beastmen. Granted, I think the Skaven, when they saw that there was a Cygor and they didn't have like a Warp Lightning Cannon or like 2 or 3 units of Jezzails, their options were fairly limited. And there just wasn't a lot of really good answers to deal with that really nasty situation. Alright, so let's update the bracket. We've got Peanut Butter Specials Beastmen going up against Hade Drees Dark Elves for the finals. Beastmen versus Dark Elf finals. I don't know if we've ever had that before. So, but before we do that, it's time for another giveaway, guys. So, if you do not have the Hunter and the Beast DLC and you would like to win a copy, all you have to do is type BEAST in the chat. B-E-A-S-T. Type that in the chat. I'll give you guys a little bit while I set up the finals. We will head to the Altdorf outskirts. And we'll let that, we'll give you all a couple more seconds. If you don't spell it right, you don't get entered. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Have I seen the new Total War? Yes, I have seen. He says, "Let loose the dogs of war," which is a super famous saying. Do I think it was a tease? No, I do not think it was a tease. Because if they were going to do Dogs of War, that would be like a full race release. And if they've already said that Warhammer 2 does not have any more races. And I feel very confident that Dogs of War are not going to be a starting race for Warhammer 3. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Cry Havoc and let loose the Dogs of War. Yeah. I don't think that's what he meant. That being said, Gotrek and Felix are functionally a Dog of War unit, so... Eh. Are Morda and Moore the same god? So, Vayne, yeah, sorta. All right, so let me. That should have been enough time for everyone to say Beast if they want a copy of Hunter and the Beast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, a number between 1 and 19, and the winner is boom. The winner is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Jordan! Jordan, you have won a copy of Hunter and the Beast. Please PM me on Discord to claim your copy. Alright guys, and with that, we are on to the finals. And be sure to stick away if you are wanting to win a copy, because we will be giving away 2 more copies of the Hunter and the Beast after the finals. I will have to join Discord later to get it. You don't have to join Discord for it. It just, if you want me to try, you could contact me on Twitter. Whatever works. I just need some kind of DM from you, direct message, so that I can give you your key. Doesn't have to be over Discord, but it needs to be over something. Will I stream campaign after this? No, I'm gonna go to lunch after this, and then I'm gonna work on a video after this. Yeah, no rush, Jordan. No rush. Take your time, man. It's not going anywhere. Although I would love to get over 100 likes for this live stream, I will say that a 97 now to 124 ratio is pretty good. That's like 90%. That's not bad. $100. Great job, guys. Kick ass. All right, so this is today's final match. This is the end. Start disliking. Hey, get out of here. One last time, in case you have not seen the armies, here's a last refresher. On Peanut Butter Special side, we've got the Herd of the Shadow Gave, which is, he's got a Cygor, 4 units of Ungor Spearmen Herd with shields, Blackhorn's Ravengers ROR, 4 units of regular Centigors, 2 units of Centigors with throwing axes, a Razorgore Chariot, a Shadow Bray Shaman on a Razorgore Chariot. He's got a Beast Lord on foot, who has Call of Violence and Horn of the First Beast. Then we've got 2 units of Ungor Raiders, and that's it. Then on the Dark Elf side of things, we've got 2 units of Reaper Bolt Throwers, 1 unit of Bleak Swords, 3 units of Dread Spears, unit of Sisters of Slaughter, a unit of Black Ark Corsairs, 2 units of Dark Riders with shields, a unit of Harpies, Lokir Fellheart on his Black Dragon Maelstrom, and he has the Helm of the Kraken, Foe Seeker, and whatever the hell his dueling ability is called, Dreaded Duelist, there we go. Then he's got a Fire Sorceress on Dark Pegasus with Fireball, Cascading Fire Cloak, and Burning Head. And then last but certainly not least, the Charybdis. Going ready. So this match is for all the marbles. I don't think the Beastmen have ever won one of my Challenge of the Old One tournaments. So, maybe this will be it. Dark Elves, I think, have won before, but this is a pretty unconventional Dark Elf list. Alright, both players are ready, and we're off! So obviously, the Beastmen do appreciate this hill as long as they're standing close enough to it. But these bolt throwers do have an excellent arc of fire. And in comes the first volley. Fireball completely whiffs, but the bolt throwers don't, and manage to take off 7 Centigores with that first volley. Of course, there are some sneaky shenanigans coming in for the Beastmen. Little Raven coming in with the $5 super chat donation. Love the challenge of the old one, turnies. Keep up the good work. Thanks so much, Little Raven. I appreciate the kind words and the $5 donation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Alright, so the Beastmen at this point are lining up to try and draw a bead on the Dark Elves. And it looks like we've got the Cygor slowly moving into position. Sneaky shenanigans, of course, are going on in the background, and the Cygors are trying their best to stay safe. And we've got the first boulder coming in from downtown. Oh, beautiful hit. Tons of damage. We've got a fireball coming in on the Brave Shaman of Shadows, and it does a pretty good amount of damage. Eats definitely a few hundred damage. Very nice shot. Bolt throwers are firing where they can. Obviously, they are coming through the trees, so their accuracy is going to be a little bit questionable, but they are picking off Centigores. Looks like they are aiming for the Brave Shaman of Shadows. Managed to ping him with a few hits, but nothing crazy. Beastmen are definitely going for the jukes, trying to avoid taking as much damage as they can, and it looks like they're bending around the left flank primarily to try and force the Reaper Bolt throwers into an uncomfortable position. At this point, we do see the Centigores racing away from the Fireball, which Fireball now doesn't seem to hone as good as it used to, and it also does significantly less damage, which, thank God, it was super overpowered. Oh, got a whiff there from the Cygor. But, so we've had one good Fireball and 2 bad ones. Thankfully, they're a cheap spell, but still, you want to be careful with them. The Beastmen now are starting to come in from all directions. Another Fireball does come off, and it's heading straight for the Beast Lord. He doesn't have the most armor in the world, so if this hits, okay, it clips him. There's a little bit of damage. Thankfully, it doesn't quite hit him with a big explosion, so he manages to avoid the worst of it. Reaper Bolt throwers are firing into the Shadow Shaman, and just kind of doing a fair amount of accidental damage. And oh my gosh, with the double volleys from the Ungor Raiders into the unsuspecting Sisters of Slaughter and a Cygor Rock, the Sisters of Slaughter get absolutely eviscerated, immediately followed up by a, wow, what a beautiful strategy, followed up immediately by a Razor Charge. They got just torn apart. Lokir Felhard is chasing off some of these Centigores, trying to buy some space for his troops. Meanwhile, the Charybdis is reacting to what's happening in the backfield, and the Centigores are now running amok all over the battlefield. We do see Harpies diving in on the Centigores, trying to basically tie them up, slow them down, so that Felhard can get in here and do what he does best. He does have all of his buffs popped, so he's diving in on the Shadow Sorcerer to make the best of that time. Meanwhile, we've got boulders coming in, making sure that these Sisters of Slaughter don't come back. And here comes in the first of those devastating flaming skulls, which won the Dark Elves that crucial battle, that comeback victory they had against the Lizardmen. Those burning heads really paid their money's worth. And here we do see that the Beast Lord has popped all of his buffs, but unfortunately for him, all of his buffs give him melee attack, but not melee defense. So he is still eating full damage right now, and he is terrified and is now running for his life away from Lokir Felhard. He needs to get away from that dragon so he doesn't get killed off. It's crucial to the Beastman that he remains alive. Over here, we do see that Felhard is eating quite a bit of damage from the Centigores with throwing axes and the Ungor Spearmen. They are focusing him down as best they can. He does have Enfeebling Foe on him so that Centigores can mass damage. And the balance of power has actually swung significantly in favor of the Dark Elves. Or, sorry, the Beastmen. As the Beastmen are just swarming all over the place. And Felhard, despite the fact that he is a very, very strong character, because of the very, very consistent missile fire coming in from both the rear and the front, and he's completely surrounded and is being hit by damaging abilities, he's in a really bad spot. He needs to get out of there right now. We do see a burning head comes in. It does miss Felhard, so it doesn't hit him with its negative leadership effect. But both of these guys are barely hanging in there. He's at 5 leadership. We're at 14 leadership over here. Felhart is popping all of his buffs, but he is completely surrounded in a terrible, terrible position. The Withering goes down, lowering his leadership, causing it to shatter. The balance of power completely flips. And with that, the Beastmen, for the first time, I think, claim victory in the tabletop tournament, the Challenge of the Old Ones. So, congratulations to Peanut Butter Special, and this is, I know for a fact, is definitely his first time joining us. You know, he was a last-second entry, and massive congratulations to him for achieving glorious victory. Great game. Congrats. So everyone be sure to give a massive round of applause and congratulations to Peanut Butter Special for coming in with a really awesome Beastman build. It wasn't super cheesy. You know, it didn't have Morgar. It didn't have the Eye of Morslib. It didn't have, like, tons and tons of Cynagors with great weapons or anything. Like, it had a lot of low-tier units that were used to really, really great effectiveness. I want to say thanks to everyone who played today. We saw a lot of pretty unconventional lists, and it was fun. You know, if there's one thing I like about this tourney format is that it's almost always you get to see things that you never get to see on a normal basis, and that's the best part. It's just fantastic. So, I mean, Peanut Butter Special, I mean, that army of his was just very, very maneuverable, and he did a great job of making sure he didn't get tied up in any really unpleasant fights, and he did, just great job by everyone today. All 7 very entertaining games, and I'm really glad to see the Beastmen take it home. Congrats, and really well played. So, with that, we've got 2 more keys to give away, and that will be it for today. So, if you want a chance to win the Hunter and the Beast keys, then type, let's type, oh, sorry, it's pea butter, not peanut butter. If you want to win a copy of Hunter and the Beast, all you have to do in chat right now is type PBS. Type PBS to celebrate the winner of this week's Challenge of the Old Ones. And you will be entered to win. PBS. I'll give you guys a hot couple seconds. Or, well, a hot minute. And then we will pick the winners. And once we've done that, y'all are dismissed. Thanks again so much to everyone that joined us. And thank you very much to Little Raven for the $5 donation earlier. Really appreciated that. Thank you very much for the support. I'll give it about another minute for anyone that wants to type PBS in chat for a chance to win a copy of Hunter and the Beast. We're giving away 2 more copies, and then we are done for the day. And we wrapped it up at almost exactly 2 hours. That's the other thing about this tournament series, is that it's awesome because it's short. It's very to the point. We get a good amount of games in very quickly. Alright, looks like everybody who's entered is, that wants a copy is entered. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people desiring a key. So the first key goes to... Boom! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Daniel Martin. Daniel Martin is the winner of the first key. And then the second key. Boom. Second key goes to... Itame Alves. Itame Alves. One of those. Itame Alves. Itame Alves and Daniel Martin. Please send me a DM on Discord or a DM on Twitter, and I will get you your Hunter and the Beast codes. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. Once again, it's Daniel Martin and Itame Alves. Shoot me a message when you have a second. Alright, so I'll play you guys some music to see you off for the day. And that's gonna be it. Go watch Turn stream. Go watch Turn stream and tell him that you just came. Everybody go over there and tell him that you just came from a way more awesome stream than his. But you figured you'd come by and give him some pity views. Because, you know, obviously he needs it. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Catch you on the flip side. We will be back next week with the next round of Challenge of the Old Ones. And, of course, a lot more stuff between now and then. So, take care of yourselves. See you next time. If you want a key, make sure you message me. I'll give you guys an outro song to carry you out. And we'll see you next time. Bye.